meeting is now 6 o'clock, and I would like to start the meeting. My name is Mike Fletcher. I will be chairing this meeting this evening. I would like to remind everyone present that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded for publication on the Council's website. One administrative item: there are no planned fire alarms this evening. So in the case of an emergency, if anything does go off, please evacuate the building using the nearest available exit. So I'm guessing for most of us that's there or here. And congregate at the assembly point outside the college. So down and out the main entrance. Okay, so item 1 on the agenda, apologies for absence. Apologies have been received from Councillor Lydiard, and Mayor Shinnick is substituting for him. Carly, any further apologies received? No. Okay, thank you. Item 2, minutes. I move that the minutes of the Planning Committee meeting held on the 22nd of December 2025 be approved as a correct record. Are there any comments on the accuracy of these minutes? No? Fine. Thank you very much. So are we in favour? Just need to hear agreed. Thank you. Right, item 3 on the agenda, items of urgent business. There are 2 items I'd like to raise at this stage. Firstly, I'd like to inform the committee that application 19-01709 full Orsett Quarry has been withdrawn. Now, this is due to an administrative error relating to the notification of residents. The planning team consider it highly important to ensure that all statutory and affected parties are properly notified. They therefore consider it appropriate to defer the item. And the application will now be heard at committee on the 24th of February. Okay, so that's an item of information. I would also like to raise another deferral, but this one's to be agreed by committee. And this is application 25/00851 full. This is land adjacent to Snake, Spinney and New Covert, Brentwood.
Oh, you're not on there. Yeah.
And I'll hand over to Ashley to explain that one further.
Thank you, Chair. So, members of the committee, the applicant has requested that the item is deferred to a future meeting. They wish to provide some further information, so I think it's...
All right, so that one could be taken off the list.
Have that exchange, and we bring the item back, and we'll update the committee report to reflect whatever information they do provide. I haven't got a date for that coming back, but I do recommend on that basis we do defer that item, committee members.
Members of the committee, any comments, or shall we proceed to vote on that? Councillor Green.
What time frame are we on this? So if we left it and the time frame runs out, will we be liable for that?
Sound all right, guys? And
well, there's always a risk that applicants can appeal non-determination, but the risk is low in this case because the applicant is requesting that the item's deferred. So once we understand exactly what the issues are, we'll agree the suitable extension of time on the application to completely reduce that risk. And the applicant has made no intention that is what they're looking to pursue. So I think members can be assured that the risk is very, very low of any non-determination appeal at this stage.
I assume we'll need a proposer and seconder. So may I have a proposer, please, to defer this application? Thank you, Councillor Jones, and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Shinnick. And all those in favour? Excuse the background noise. Okay, thank you. Anybody against? No, thanks. That's unanimous, I believe. Thank you. That item will be heard at a later date. That moves us on to item 4 on the agenda, declarations of interest. Does anybody have any declarations of interest they wish to make regarding any of the items we are due to discuss this evening? Councillor Shinnick.
I've had an email off of Kim Harding regarding the Horned one. Is that all right?
Yeah, I think we'll cover that under declarations of receipts, if that's all right. I mean, in terms of off the back of that, do you feel that it puts you in a situation of interest, a situation where you're not able to?
No.
Lovely, thank you. Anybody else? Thanks, Steve. Steve.
Purely based on something I was reading earlier, the first one, which is 25/01051 stroke outline, West Horndon land south of the boundary and east of Dunnings Lane. I kind of live vaguely close to that. So,
all right, David, you're welcome in.
It doesn't change my
Looks
view
like
of
they're going to
anything,
discuss
but I guess that's
whether the
relevant.
press.
Thanks, Stevie. I think that is relevant to
Probably
note, is it
us
not?
are allowed to
So, thanks
be
for,
on the
for
agenda.
mentioning
I'm
that.
just checking something.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Because it says
Great.
here,
So no other declarations.
members
of
are
interest.
asked
And
to
obviously, Steve,
consider
as you don't vote,
whether the
we
press
don't have
and
to ask you
public
whether
should
you're
be excluded from the meeting
whether it's going
during
to impact
consideration of the
your
agenda item.
decision one way or another, because you don't have one to make. So it makes life easy. Cool.
So I'm
Thank you.
wondering if
Right. So item 5, sorry, declaration of receipts. Councillor Shinnick, I think you've had
welcome in,
something.
Roger.
Sorry, Kim Harding said it.
Thanks, Sue. I think we've all had something from
That's
Mr. Harding.
just come through. I don't know
Great,
what that's
okay,
about.
and,
I wonder if it's because of us
The
talking about this like we are
West
now.
Horndon
But then again,
parish
they'd
residents
take it all
will
off,
be
wouldn't they?
making a statement of objection.
So
This
it looks
evening,
like they're going to
so.
consider taking it all
Okay,
off.
thank you very much. Item 6 on the agenda is planning appeals. Jonathan, would you like to update us on the latest, please?
Thank you, Chair. The report is as set out. There's no particular comments. The majority were dismissed.
I don't know if it's for all of it or just that bloody Brentwood one that they're talking about. I'm not sure. It's in the right, land adjacent to Snake Spinney, New Covert, Brentwood Road. That's what they're talking about.
Sorry, Jonathan. The voice in my ear, and I've learned that I have to listen to the voices. So if you'd like to carry on.
That's
Just a very short update. Say the majority have been
land
dismissed. And there's
adjacent
nothing
Snake
specific to report to
Spinney.
members.
Members, any questions from what you've got in front of you, or are you happy to move on?
Oh, that's that A1281 one.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. And thanks, Jonathan.
That's going to be interesting. That might be interesting to listen to. If we are going to be not part of it, you know, the live stream. I think
so. Item 7 on the agenda is item 24/01051. Outline permission application for West Horndon, land south of borough boundary and east of Dunnings Lane. And can I ask William Allwood to present the report, please?
Here we go. Right, let's take me. I'm just going to take you off. Oh, can you see? Oh, no, you can't see me there, can't you? No, you're all right. Because I keep forgetting they're only 3.4 in. They're only like that, you know. They go like that. I don't know why they don't blow them up, but they only have them that for some reason. I don't. You know, that's council for you. It's been like that since I've been there. They don't want to go HD. They like a letterbox effect on their laptops, and I have no idea why. So you can still see me. Let's see if I can find that gender again.
Oh, right. There. Thank you, Chair. So this is the application. Sorry. Done it again.
Is that the one? Yeah, that's it.
I do apologise. I'm having a bit of problem with the IT.
So this is item 7. So West Horndon, land south of borough boundary and East Dunnings Lane that they're talking about now. Yeah, presentation mode. Yeah, exactly. I think it should be all blown up to me, so it's shown full screen.
Right. So this is the application.
Oh, right. Hopefully. Oh, right. Gotcha. Thanks, Rebel.
Borough boundary.
Well, this is interesting and for us,
Sorry, Will, I
anyway.
think you'll need to bring that microphone a bit closer to you so that everybody can hear you.
Right, this is the application to the south of the borough boundary and east of Dunnings Lane, West Horndon.
Right, I'll just put that in. Yeah. That's the one.
Members will recall considering the application at the December 2025 Planning Committee, and I'm quickly going to run through some of those images produced at that time. So view to the south, view to the west, view to the east, view to the south.
2,100 dwellings it's got here though, Rebel. So it must be that as well.
West, looking at boundary treatment, and these are some of the parameter plans which we discussed.
I saw that.
Round chair. So this is height.
Yeah, I mean this is also drilling as well, not just the
relationship
cremation
of the site to its boundaries. Landscape plan, significant amount of landscaping is being provided as part of this application. Existing and proposed levels. Indicative phasing plan.
So where's this?
This is the illustrative master plan, which members had copies of.
So basically it's between Orsett and West Horndon then, isn't it, that area? Let's see if I can find a map.
This is the demolition plan, showing the demolition of a few stable buildings within the site. And this plan shows the proposed community facilities across the site. Sections AA and BB across the site. So members...
Yeah, by the side of it, yeah. It looks like they're only discussing the dwellings at the moment on this one, Rebel. I don't know why.
Members will recall the application considered to be the 22nd of December Planning Committee, where this was deferred pending a site visit.
Yeah, West Horndon, by the train station.
Address following matters.
I've got it.
School, secondary school transport, infrastructure.
So by the industrial site.
General highway concerns, improvements to and access to West Horndon train station.
That's it, yeah, I can see the site. Yeah, I've got that. I've got the train station.
Drainage waste concerns. The site visit took place on 27th of January.
In the rain.
This year, where members were taken around key viewpoints, starting in the southwest corner of the site
area
at Dunnings Lane, driving along Ditch Lane, taking in the railway bridge at St Mary's Lane, walking to the north at Freshwell Gardens, and finally driving to Brentwood Road, Tilbury Road Junction to identify where the new roundabout was to be located to the east of the site.
Yeah, David, so that's the reason why I've got an air meter outside the house. That area is one of the worst. It's 5.5 on the air meter scale, and it should be 3.1.
So matters to be considered.
I'm not going to
starting off with secondary
school. What are we up to today? I don't even know what what's the air quality say
surplus
today?
of secondary school spaces.
Yeah, it should say it on here.
Confirmed by data.
My air quality today
have current capacity with reasonable travel distances from the site.
Today it's only 1.6.
Thurrock's education officer has determined that the
air quality today is 1.6. It has been up to 5.5.
And in terms of that bus strategy,
it's gone down a bit. I suppose it's because of the weather.
Bus services must be convenient and accessible between the development, at least one secondary school.
It is bad around there. They've got an air meter on the Manaway.
Distance of the site until the on-site primary school is completed and operational to its intended capacity. Services should include direct or convenient interchange connections,
Yeah.
agreed with Thurrock Education colleagues.
I've had it at
The
5.5,
developer has agreed to fully fund this provision.
and I think the
and its
meter out
delivery
there was
is
at
controlled by
5.6,
the Section 106
which is just
agreement.
like 100 yards away from me on
Further,
the
walking
Manaway.
routes between bus stops and schools must be safe, direct, and appropriately lit in accordance with those standards. The applicant will fund an adequate bus service for 5 years to transport students to surrounding secondary schools. It is thought that 5 years is a proportionate time to limit the funding of the school bus service. Parameters of the bus route and funding mechanisms will be finalised through Section 106 discussions. To conclude, Chair, is considered the details
That is a
and
big
length
old
of the
area.
secondary transport provision are acceptable and proportionate for the scheme. The second issue was in respect of infrastructure impact, particularly in relation to local hospitals. It's important to note that a
Big
doctor's
old area
surgery
that is.
is to be provided on the site of a minimum floor area of 750 square metres. In addition, the NHS
So presumably
has requested a contribution of almost
crematorium is going to be
£800,000
further up
to
from
mitigate
that.
the impact of this development.
That's going to be just
But
as a
the
housing
officer's
section
views
they're talking about now.
Officers' view that this
Crematorium will be a bit further up.
request does not meet the requirements of the SIL regulations. It suggested to members that requests for NHS ambulance contributions is not necessary on the basis for funding for ambulance services and should be sought through direct government funding. And the general highways concerns, the proposed development includes various measures to mitigate highway impacts in compliance with the National Planning Policy Framework. These are summarised as key proposals, including changes to junctions, active travel, bridge phases, and upgrades to public rights-of-way. Public rights-of-way matters are to be secured through planning conditions and a Section 106 agreement. Planning conditions will secure the implementation of these measures at various development phases. Comments from authorities confirm that the proposed arrangements are acceptable and do not pose severe impacts. To conclude, Thurrock Borough Council Highways and Essex County Highways teams consider all matters relating to highway mitigation and access are acceptable within the borough boundaries. In terms of improvements to and access to West Horndon train station, the proposed development will provide an on-site multimodal transport hub, including a bus interchange and cycle parking. Land is also to be safeguarded for Network Rail to provide access to the station from the application side. Following this, developer is to provide a new station building and gate line. There'll also be the diversion of the public rights-of-way to enable the closure of the Brown and Torse level crossing. In terms of sewage and drainage waste concerns and where the sewage will travel, paragraph 10 of the update report provides clarity on the issue of the drainage ditches to the west of the application site. This paragraph concludes that the drainage strategy is acceptable to local planning and lead local flood authorities. Paragraph 11 of the update report provides further information in respect of foul water management strategy and provides information in respect of the connection points around the application site. Anglian Water confirms available capacity for the predicted flows, and further details will be finalised at the detailed design stage.
List.
To conclude, Thurrock Council are satisfied that all matters relating to foul and surface water drainage relating to these proposals can be adequately managed, which include conditions as set out. Conclusion, as set out at paragraph 18 of the update report, the queries raised by members at the planning committee at the planning meeting 22nd December last have been addressed. As previously advised, Port England have requested off-site provision for rugby, hockey and swimming pools, and the local planning authority of the opinion that this request meets both the local plan policy tests and seal tests, as concluded at paragraph 14.17 of this report. The proposal is a development of some 2,100 homes.
Yeah,
at the time
saw
where
that.
Thurrock
2,100.
has a housing land supply of just 1.02 years. As a result, the presumption in favour of sustainable development in paragraph 11 of the NPPF applies. This land is within the Metropolitan Greenbelt. However, given its contribution to Greenbelt purposes, it's considered Greybelt land, and in the event, very
Hey, welcome in, Blunt.
circumstances for developing in the Greenbelt exist. This is also a development where 50% housing, affordable housing, is provided, and therefore the golden rules apply. There are also significant other factors, including the provision of old persons accommodation and custom and self-built homes. It is a case where there is no strong reason for refusal within the definition of that term in footnote 7 of the National Planning Policy Framework, nor where the adverse impacts of the development significantly, demonstrably outweigh the benefits. To the contrary, and considering these matters and all planning considerations weighing against the scheme, the planning balance is clearly in favour of granting permission in this case. This table just runs through the heads of terms.
Oh, God. He sounds enthusiastic.
So, to conclude, the application will provide up to 2,100 dwellings, of which 50% are affordable. The proposal will also be providing a minimum of 44.5 hectares of public open space and 1.1 hectares of woodland that would also be retained. Thurrock Council cannot currently demonstrate a 5-year housing supply. Currently stands at approximately 1.02 years.
I love it how they turn around and say only 50% is going to be affordable.
Response,
So who's going to buy the other lot then? People who can't afford it.
Reference is made, as previously advised, in terms of the Sport England request for off-site provision. It's accepted and understood that this application has resulted in significant public objections locally. Considering policy in line with the NPPF, paragraphs 156 and 159, the proposal delivers 50% affordable C3 housing, necessary infrastructure, and accessible green space. Compliance with the golden rules should be afforded significant weight in favour of permission, subject to the test in paragraph 155. On balance, is considered this proposal subject to agreed section 106 matters and conditions as set out. The proposal is acceptable to local planning authority. Thank you, Chair. Briefly, there's a couple of updates.
That's the updates I've just posted there.
Of the provision and timing of the development in light of the shortfall, it is suggested to members that the period for commencement should be at 15 years rather than I think it was 10 years set out previously. So that is the update, and that update is contained within the proposed planning conditions before you, Chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Will. Members will get the opportunity to ask Will questions once we've heard from residents and the applicant.
Oh,
so
good.
Park that for the moment.
Yeah.
We have a couple of statements. Just to put this in context, I have allowed 2 speakers in opposition to this application. I've done so on the basis that I consider there are exceptional circumstances in this case, mainly due to the size, the scale of the development and the number of different stakeholders involved. So on this occasion, I have allowed
put 2 bleeding pictures
like
up.
extra
I should have put this on OBS.
So the first
so
of these
is
is Leslie Lewis on behalf of West Horndon Parish residents.
Oh, welcome,
Leslie, if
Commander.
you'd like to come down and
yeah, I'm all right.
Carly will
Watching this crap. I bet she only gets 3 minutes. How many minutes do you think she's going to get, guys? Let's have a count out. How many?
Leslie, just to give you a bit of an idea, we'll give you 3 minutes to.
There you go, 3 minutes.
Your,
3 minutes to put your
statement.
point across.
I think.
Get the
Carly's
timer
just,
out.
It's basically, it's the button on the right turns it on, and the button on, and then you press it again to turn it off.
We're talking about.
Even
this is
I can work it out. Whenever you're ready,
2,100 dwellings.
your 3 minutes will start then.
Going up in Orsett.
Good evening. Having previously outlined the objections from West Horndon Parish Council and its residents, I will not repeat these again, but instead raise serious issues that still remain. First, this proposal sits firmly within the Thames Chase Forest boundary, an area created for landscape regeneration, recreation, biodiversity and public enjoyment. Thurrock Council is a signatory to the Thames Chase Agreement, which clearly expects that no major housing or industrial development should take place within the community forest area. The Trust recently published 2025-2035 plan reinforces this position and makes no provision for a new urban settlement. Approving this application would directly contradict that long-standing commitment. Second, the proposed active travel route beside Freshwell Gardens is fundamentally flawed. The narrowing under the railway bridge means it cannot meet the legal width required for an active travel corridor. This is not a minor detail. It is a basic design failure that undermines the scheme's sustainability claims and will cause significant disruption to residents. In addition, the developer themselves have raised concerns about public safety near the railway line, concerns so serious that they propose a 2-metre high concrete anti-trespass wall. Yet this issue is not addressed at all in Thurrock's planning assessment. Third, the traffic impacts on West Horndon are unacceptable. The development has 3 access points, while an existing access for our village is removed.
Yeah, my shed's
leaves
falling
West
apart.
Horndon with just
Not
2
even 10
routes.
years old yet.
One, a
Then again,
residential
I don't
road
look
with
after
a
it.
primary school that already feeds into a difficult T-junction on the A127. The other pushes traffic towards the A128 and the Dunton Hills development. The resulting increase in congestion, pollution and road safety risks will be substantial. The question must be asked, why should West Horndon suffer a severe negative impact through the closure of St Mary's Lane solely to benefit a new development? Fourth, aviation safety has been overlooked. 2 active airfields are nearby.
I've been on that bloody airfield, mate. That close.
Development on or near airfields. The 2023 incident at Dammings Hall shows that placing a new town beneath these flight paths is unacceptable.
It is.
Finally, I must raise concerns about process. At the previous planning meeting, many significant issues appear to be brushed over due to time constraints, despite councillors clearly having reservations. Following the deferral for a site visit, it was extremely discouraging that no representative from Brentwood Council was invited to provide
there is a lot of insight. There is.
As such, we must insist that any element of this application within the Brentwood boundary should not be determined at this time, and we ask that planning approval is not granted. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Right, members of the committee, you can now ask Leslie any factual questions that you wish. Who would like to? Does anybody have a question for her? Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Leslie, for your presentation. I'm interested to find out a little bit more, please, about the Thames Chase Forest boundary, you know, an area created for regeneration, recreation, biodiversity and public enjoyment. So, you know, when was this first, shall we say, instigated, and what does it actually say? Because, you know, what you're saying is really that it's saying there should be no development nearby a certain area. Is that
he got the finger point, did he? Leave my rights alone. Did you?
Yes, that is.
Did
so
you?
that agreement has been, I don't know the actual date, I'll be honest with you. However, that agreement has signatories from quite a few councils.
I'm not
and
interested in the unions, mate. I'm out of here if you start talking unions.
And I believe Havering.
I'm not into that crap.
Another. And all of those
You did.
signed up to this Thames Chase agreement. And one of the things they signed up to was
Let's stop talking bloody unions here. I've had enough of bloody unions.
No development on the land where the Thames Chase Forest community sits. And this proposal sits firmly within a considerable area of the Thames Chase Forest community.
Jesus, agree.
Yeah, right.
So what I'm trying to establish, Leslie, what is the boundary of this Thames Chase? Where is the boundary? Do we know the boundary how far it goes?
Bloody big boundary, mate.
I'll be honest, I don't know exactly, but I do know that it is quite a large area. I'm sure we could find that out and forward that on to you.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Leslie. Anybody else got any questions for Leslie?
Rebel, we've been talking about that. I mean, ask Shane Ralph.
Sorry, my brain went dead there for a second. Apologies.
I mean, he's just behind me.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Leslie, for your report.
And he's not a councillor anymore. And
can you explain from your residents that you're representing how impactful it will be that their access in the direction of Upminster and South Ockenden and that area by the closure of the bridge will impact on them? So I imagine they've got to go all the way and join considerable traffic on the A128 or join traffic on the A127 to travel to where they might go what was down a country lane before.
Thank you. Yes, it will have a massive impact, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Not just on residents, but also on the
it's more green belt land around there and all that
so
sort of area.
Who are not aware, there is an industrial area at the end of the village.
Oh, you're in Sussex? Oh, right, I'm in Essex.
Some of those HGVs currently come through the village. A lot of them currently go over the bridge towards sort of Upminster and Ockenden to join down to the docks at Tilbury. On a personal note, as a villager, I go that way to go and see my family. I go that way to take my young foster lad, you know, to places like Thames Chase Forest. They will not be accessible, really, because it's an additional 14 minutes. Now, recently, the bridge was closed due to a burst water main. And the disruption that caused for the village and for the residents and for people visiting others in the village who don't actually live.
Yeah, but it's angling water again, mate. I won't even bother with angling water. They're a joke.
Some of the lanes down at Bulford, they cannot cope with the traffic that they have now.
You know all that area is going to flood. It's all flood down there. So I can't see angling water doing anything about it.
Do you have a follow-up, Russell, or?
No, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Leslie.
Steve.
Oh, great. He was there that day, yeah.
Thanks, Chair. Leslie, you mentioned. I know I'm familiar with one of the airfields, which is the Barnard's Farm one.
Yeah.
Where's Damins Hall?
Damins Hall is the one over.
It's the
A127. You've got the A128, A127. It's just off that.
Now I'm the one that's got brain freeze.
Yeah. Damins Hall is the one off the A127.
Isn't it? Romford Road.
That's it, Romford Road.
It's very near Averley.
That's it, Averley. That's the one.
By Bellis.
Thank you. Thanks, Leslie.
It's the one over the A127, not this side.
No worries. Thanks, Steve. Anybody else got any questions for Leslie? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Thank you very much for your time, Leslie, and thank you for your statement.
They're going to say she ain't good enough, aren't they? They're going to, poor Pa, we're not going to get her again. Even though they're clapping her. Yeah.
We have a second statement of objection from Ashley Heller on behalf of Essex County Council. So Ashley, if you'd like to come down and join us.
That's where my typewriter came from, but before Barters. Essex County Council.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. I know.
Apologies, I've got a bit of a cold, so.
Welcome, Howard.
Don't worry. We're used to all kinds of presentations, to be honest, Ashley. You've got 3 minutes whenever you'd like to start, and I'll get off the line and let you.
Our objection on highways grounds still stands. While we have received a technical note on behalf of the applicants on the 19th of January, we are simply unable to verify or test its contents due to a lack of time prior to the future committee, which is we're here today. In order to fully consider the note, we would have to commission our consultants to first help us verify the findings before secondly being able to take a view as to whether the impacts on the network are acceptable. Unfortunately, due to the application coming back today, so soon we are unable to do that. Details relating to some of the proposed highway improvements also remain unapproved by ECC.
Yeah.
As a result, our objection on highways grounds still stands. Secondly, we still have significant concerns about the general lack of coordination with strategic development in Brentwood and Basildon districts. All strategic development proposals in the area should cohere around creating a high quality and accessible growth location, with West Horndon railway station being a key asset serving the surrounding area. This would include maximising sustainable transport and active travel modes to key facilities such as the secondary school currently being planned at Dumpton Hill. Since the planning committee, we have had the opportunity to discuss this with the applicants, and whilst our objection on this point remains, we acknowledge the applicant's offer of contributing to some form of strategic oversight group that would see the local planning and highway authorities and strategic developers committing to liaising and coordinating with one another on a regular basis as the planning of the strategic sites progresses. We would also like to raise the following outstanding transport issues. Future-proofing the land around the train station within the site to enable appropriate bus interchange for the scale of development proposed in the area. Currently, pedestrian and cycle interchange provision is included.
I think there's only one bus that goes there at the moment.
That the bus interchange will be on the northern side of this railway station, where land is in fact constrained. Therefore, flexibility in applicant site for a bus interchange or a wider public realm serving the station would be sensible at this stage until a more detailed specification incorporating appropriate capacity is prepared. ECC has received further information on the proposed changes to the bridge.
They're not worth it.
As highlighted above, we have not had sufficient time to assess the impacts of the proposal on the Essex network. Our preference is for an access to all bridge to ensure that the best possible connectivity and convenience for all residents using the railway station.
We've only got 44
seconds. We appreciate Network Rail may have initially accepted the proposed access arrangements to the station. However, as we have mentioned above, design decisions agreed now reflect a much wider patronage at the station, given that other light development sites will come forward. Horn and St Mary's will generate a high level demand for the secondary school places, and the nearest school is some distance away in Thurrock. This is a key concern for us. But an active travel link from the proposed
you've got Bolton, haven't you? West Horndon and Bolton.
For travel by
they back onto each other.
To walk and cycle to school. In summary, we request that the planning committee further and meaningfully postpone the application to allow for resolution of the above issues. ECC is willing to be collaborative.
Yeah, exactly, Commander, but they don't like that, do they?
Appropriate delivery of much needed housing, but we also wish to ensure that we do not make decisions that prejudice the opportunity to make West Horndon area as successful and thriving as it deserves to be.
Thank you, Ashley. Now, members of the committee, would you like to ask Ashley any questions?
Yeah, what's Essex County Council got to do with it?
Sorry, just a quick question. You said access for all bridge. What does that mean? Would that be literally access for all cars and lorries and buses and everything?
Has anyone been on that bridge? It's, that's a weird bridge that is. It's the old Snake one. Right. It goes like that.
Okay.
There's the railway line. There's a rail. It goes like that, and then the road comes on that side.
Thanks, Kathy. Roy.
Thank you, Ashley.
You don't live round here, Roy.
How much more time do you think you would require to should we say, make sure that everything's in place, that you feel comfortable? You could sort of contribute towards it and say, right, we're happy with these proposals. This is what we require. What sort of length of period of time would you think you need?
We need the opportunity to interrogate the evidence that's been provided by the applicant quite late in the day. And obviously my experience working on these things, it can be a degree of back and forth based upon our interpretation of that evidence and their response to that. But from this point forward, given that we've received a technical note on the 19th of January, what the strategic development engineers suggested was a period of between 3 to 6 months, realistically, to allow for that full level of information to be assessed, given that we also have to, as I said, appoint our own consultants in order to assess the information, and that in itself will take time.
Could be, yeah.
So yeah, that's the kind of timescale I would be suggesting.
Yeah, it could be. Essex County Council.
Question?
Thank you, Chair. Bearing in mind, actually, you're working with the Duntons Garden Village and the surrounding areas, so everything's got to work, you know, to make sure traffic flows are good. So it's a bit of a disappointment, really, this coming back reasonably quick. It hasn't given time to look at certain aspects of the development.
Sorry, Roy, was there a question in there?
Yeah, basically, I think there was a disappointment that it's come back so quick to a committee that it's not give chance.
Yeah, sorry, that's not a question, that's a statement. Can we keep that for the debates, please? Russell.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, I'll get the impression that the site, as described, isn't ready for the extra traffic that it may well cause. When we did our site visit, we actually parked in Dunnings Lane before we started our tour. And if you know Dunnings Lane, it's a country lane.
It is.
It has a national speed limit.
Yeah.
The road itself is very, very poor.
Yeah.
There's low surface and potholes.
Yeah.
And no clear
signage
edges to the road.
Yeah, and signage.
And while we were standing there, as a car come whizzing past us at speed.
Yeah.
And made us all.
Sorry, Russell, I hate to be the bringer of bad news. Could you move on to the question, please?
Sorry. And then my question is, that road, as I've described it as best I can in the short period of time I've been given, how much traffic will that road be subjected to with this new estate?
Yeah.
And what will Essex Highways do about improving that road, looking at it?
Oh, no, it's down to the applicant.
Speed limit, its safety.
Oh, no,
what will need to be done to that road, and should the developer contribute?
Well, I've not been that involved with the detail of the discussions that have gone on between ourselves and the developer on that specific issue. What I would say is that what your question reflects is a more general issue, which is that at this point, Essex, as the highway authority, should have full assurance on those issues to ensure that you as a committee, when you're making your decision, are certain that the permission that you're granting can be achieved. Because at the moment, obviously, because the evidence has not been fully interrogated, and we have some issues on things like road safety, there is, of course, a risk that subsequently Essex won't agree certain changes to be made on roads within its own boundary, which would mean that the application that you're agreeing can't be implemented in full. So that's why I think it is important to give the opportunity and the time to allow for all of those issues to be fully worked through and for the facts to be fully established, and then we can all move forward in a much more certain way. So that's the more general point I'd like to make in response to your question.
I thought Hitler started the war, invaded Poland.
Kathy.
Thank you, Chair. I had a quick look at the plans for the Dunton Garden Village estate, and I mean, it looks like they've got plans for active travel from their estate to West Horndon Station, which would.
Oh, Sam.
So the question is, do you think it would be helpful to work more in partnership with them? Right. Because that obviously would be a useful travel link from this application to the secondary school, for example, and the rest. Because in particular, I'm concerned about crossing that 128.
Oh, yeah. That's where that bloke died, wasn't it, on the A128?
Yeah, I mean, the answer to your question is I think it absolutely would be. We are working on a proposal to try to improve that road in conjunction with the local residents and also with the developer at the Dunton Hills Village, and that includes, as you say, active travel, looking at how we can try to reduce speeds and improve the environment along that street.
I didn't know that.
As you say, to allow for better usage. And also, the Dunton Hill proposal does include some crossing points, but again, it's about integration, ensuring that they fully meet up with the development this side of the boundary, so it's seamless. I think that's the key thing, isn't it? It's about being seamless.
Thanks, Kathy. If I might just ask a question, Ashley. So this application has been around for a year now. More specifically, the latest information, the updated information that you asked for, I believe you've had for 3 weeks. Can I just be clear what has made it impossible within those 3 weeks to review and interrogate that updated information?
Well, fundamentally, within that information is a whole series of inputs and assumptions around impact. So what we would do on a development of this scale is we need to understand what those assumptions are. We need to test them against our own understanding of what those impacts are likely to be. And all of that requires interrogation of that data, which is resource intensive and takes a significant amount of time. I mean, I've worked on large developments across Essex, and often those processes can be very, very involved.
Well, he had that wet ink signature, didn't he, from Herr Hitler?
Even years in some instances.
Saying that we'll never go to war with one another again, you know. I don't know what happened there.
Abstract process of just throwing around modelling numbers. We do need to have a common understanding of what inputs, assumptions are being made around the future impacts of this development, and that does take time. Essex doesn't do that work in-house as such. We ask our consultant to do that work for us, and that is a process in itself, which does take many weeks in order to establish, and often it does involve a number of meetings and direct engagements between the various sets of consultants to ensure that all that information is fully shared and understood.
Thanks. So how far down the line are you at the moment, and what remains to be done?
So again, I'm not a strategic development engineer. I'm here sort of representing Essex. So there's a level of detail there which I can't necessarily answer. I can, of course, commit to going away and asking our strategic development engineer that leads on this to provide a full note to this committee to ensure that you do have a timescale. But as I said, we've just received only 2 or 3 weeks ago a technical note, and reading from the responses from the strategic engineer that it will take a number of weeks to fully establish and assimilate what's in that note. So what we have in front of us is the applicants, if you like, assumptions about what will happen. It's contained within a lot of information. We need to now deal with that information in the way that we do with all of that sort of large quality of information, and it takes time. So if you like, we're at the sort of the foothills really in terms of information. It can move forward relatively quickly. I'm not saying it needs to take years or anything like that, but we do need time in order to look at that information and ensure that all of the concerns that have been expressed by the local residents can be fully addressed. And there's other information as well, not just in the model. So for example, again, looking at some of the information contained within the road safety audits that have been submitted by the applicant, some of that again needs to be further checked. For example, we'd have some doubts about the widths which can be achieved on that bridge.
Blunt, you talk about Dresden, you know, they need to look at Coventry first.
Under the applicant's proposals.
You know,
so there are things
Dresden was a warm night and all their houses were made of wood. You know, we just dropped the bombs.
Give, the officers dealing with it are in the assurance that they
fan the flames.
Come back to this committee and give you the assurance that we can, at our end, deliver.
Look at Coventry. Have you ever walked around Coventry Cathedral?
But as I understand it, at this point, you couldn't give us any kind of timescale as to how much longer you would need. This is what I'm trying to get at.
Well, as I said to the other councillor, you know, I would give an estimate of between 3 to 6 months to allow us from this point now to come back to you.
Yeah,
and agreed.
Great War was shell shock, wasn't it?
My guess, but I'm happy to go away and come back subsequently with a much more detailed timetable if that would help.
Thanks. I mean, that gives us something to work with. It gives us some kind of a broad
Yeah, they're
idea.
probably doing the
Okay,
same.
thank you, Ashley. Anybody else got any questions for Ashley?
Coventry, is it incendiary bombs that were booming?
Yeah, I'll try and behave myself this time, Chair. Just
ask a question. That's all we're asking.
Clarification. This was the same process you've done with Dunton Garden Village, and this is the format as to do. And was they, should we say, a little bit more engaging and up to speed in making sure that everything was in place when that was put forward?
Oh God! What else was made of in Vietnam? They were burning them, weren't they?
Obviously, I'm not here to sort of, make direct comparisons. Everyone has their own way of approaching these things. But in Dunton, there's been an extensive process. We've met with the parish council, and there's been lots of engagement over the last 2 to 3 years on quite detailed highways issues. I personally been involved in that scheme for 3 years. So, and it works through iterations, and even, quite late in the day, there are quite technical details that still have to be, that were being resolved before the planning committee there. So it takes a long time to get to a conclusion on these things. And I just don't feel that that we've had enough space here, time between receiving all that information and for being us to be able to commit to support.
I think this is going to run over. This one is only on section 7, not done debating yet.
Do you want to ask a follow-up question, Roy? Okay, thank you. So, Ashley, thank you very much. Oh, hang on. Steve, you're asking?
Thanks, Chair. Sorry, this is a simple yes or no one, I think. So when William was presenting it earlier, the documents earlier, and he said highways within the borough boundaries, all of the issues had been dealt with. I'm assuming that was a specific reference to the fact that it
won't have anything to do with the
within
comments,
the borough boundaries, and outside of the borough, those issues are not resolved as far as you're concerned. Is that my understanding correct?
Correct.
Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Steve. And thank you, Ashley. You may now regain your seat. Thanks very much.
Muted applause.
And we now have a statement of support from Leona Hanifi. And my apologies, Leona, if I've butchered your surname.
She get 3 minutes? Or does she get 5 because it's support?
So as with the previous speakers, we'll ask you to present your statement over 3 minutes, and then we'll ask the members of the committee if they have any factual questions for you. So in your own time.
Good evening, Chair and members of the Planning Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening on behalf of the applicant in support of this outline planning application.
You do round here, love.
I will keep my comments brief, given I had the pleasure of speaking on this application in
December. Come up from
in short, we fully support the comprehensive updated planning officer's report prepared by your team, and we're very grateful for the time and care taken by both members and officers in the determination of this planning application. As has been discussed already this evening, since the last time we met, we have continued to engage with Essex County Council. It is clear from those discussions and what has been stated this evening that Essex are not opposed to the principle of the development. Rather, the remaining concerns relate to matters of design and mitigation, which we consider can be appropriately resolved through the planning conditions and Section 106 agreement, and thereafter through the reserved matters applications. Throughout the preparation and determination of this application, we have sought to genuinely engage with those living and working locally, as well as with key stakeholders and consultees, including the Thames Chase Community Forest. If planning permission is granted, this is only the beginning of our engagement process, and we will work openly and collaboratively with all parties as the scheme progresses. The applicant is committed
I'm
to
wondering
the
that.
long-term delivery and stewardship of this site,
she's part of the
ensuring
funding,
that the new community
so
and supporting
she has
infrastructure
to
comes forward
report her
together
little
and
bit,
as
which is
planned.
not really hers in the first place.
In conclusion, members are being asked this evening to support the principle of this outline proposal that delivers significant public benefits. That's new homes, 50% affordable housing, infrastructure and community facilities, extensive green space and green infrastructure. The updated officer's report clearly demonstrates that there is no strong reason for refusal and that the planning balance weighs firmly in favour of granting planning permission. I'm here tonight with my client, David Kavanagh, of Wyndham St Mary's RIP, and we'll be very pleased to answer any questions members may have. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. So she's just
Thank you,
popped up
Leona.
from Mars.
So, members, do you have any questions of a factual nature for Leona? Russell.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your report. Do you feel the development of 2,100 homes where it is, with the roads that can be used by the people of that development, Dunnings Lane, St Mary's Lane, Fen Lane, that those roads are fit enough to support that development without considerable money being spent on those roads to upgrade them?
Thank you, Councillor. In essence, for the planning application, there is thousands of hours and work and investment that's gone into answering that exact question. Can the highways infrastructure absorb the level of development? Because this is a significant scale of growth. And the starting point for us is utilising the existing train station, working on active travel links. But at the end of the day, people still want to get into their cars, and you have to accommodate all modes of transport. It's encouraging choice, but it's actually also saying, well, how does it work? And for that reason, for probably the last intensively 2 years, but maybe realistically probably 3 years or more, our team has been working with Essex County Council, National Highways and Thurrock Council Highways. They formed kind of a tripartite group that started tackling that exact issue. And a huge amount of time was spent on building a model. There's not actually a traffic model built for this area. It'll be done through some of your local plan work, but we didn't have one. So a new model was commissioned to look at this exact question. And through that process, Essex and Thurrock Highways delegated towards National Highways to say actually for them to lead the process because, to be honest, this modelling is very, very detailed and extensive. And National Highways led that process with everyone else at the table and giving inputs. And they're probably in, I'm going to say October, November time, before we were coming to committee, National Highways said they're happy with everything. So they're happy with all the impacts on their network.
Yeah, they
equally,
do.
Thurrock
When
Highways
they record
said
these,
on
like this is going live now.
There, Dunnings Lane,
When they
those
play them back, they put them up at 10 in the morning. You imagine clicking on that at 10 in the morning. What? I woke up.
Highways until you go over, obviously once you go over the borough boundary, but all in their areas, they both said
they go live
they
in
were
the evening
satisfied
and
with
put
those.
them out again.
Essex, in fairness to them, have highlighted, and that's the written advice that's on your file, and your highways officers can give you further details on that. Essex County Council have said now that they have all that modelling and some more of that information, they would like to go off and validate that from their perspective.
Yeah.
Now some of that has come quite late, that request, because they've been involved, but equally we want to keep working with them on that process to get them comfortable. As I've mentioned, they're not opposed to the principle. Anyone we've discussed in Essex about this, they recognise this is where growth should go. It is assessing those impacts. So we're happy to keep collaborating with them during, when we're discussing conditions and Section 106 obligations, should that need to be considered during mitigation.
Yeah,
so this process continues.
Ring-fence Section 106 money, haven't we? Yeah.
Yeah,
anybody got that? I've got all of that yet?
Evidence.
No, it's been ring-fenced.
And National Highways and Thurrock Council have fully signed off on that. But we're in this for the long haul. So we genuinely want to bring Essex County Council along with us. And we really appreciate, it's unfortunate the position we're currently in. As you've heard here, there's 3 months, there's 6 months. We've been in that kind of holding pen for a very long time, even before the application was submitted. And I'll be honest, we are in a position whereby every time we give another 3-month extension, we had it with National Highways. I think in the file, they probably extended their time for considering it 5 or 6 times. And each time the client signed off on that. But now we are at a point that we, at the very least, need to determine whether the principle of this development is acceptable, and that is why it is an outline application. And then actually some of these details and mitigation can be worked through both, as I say, after Section 106, which will need to be considered post-committee, and then in future discharging planning conditions and reserved matters applications. That helps.
Thanks. Russell, do you want to ask a follow-up question?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for what you've just said. So I'm getting the image that this development is to serve mainly people using the rail system going to and from London, which I can't see benefiting the people of Thurrock. But for the people of Thurrock to have to then pay for the roads to be upgraded, when we haven't got a lot of money in this borough, those people will
I'm giving him the link, but I've got a funny feeling because it's all this stuff, he's not going to come on to about 10, so...
And the impact on those lanes that are adjoining the site will
worth a
need to
laugh
be
if he wants to
upgraded.
come in,
Sorry, Russell, I would ask you to move to the question. I appreciate.
Is there any support from yourselves in principle about helping us upgrade those roads? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Indeed, we do hope that people will use the trains, and that inevitably is one of the reasons here. A massive part of our development as well is major investment in creating north-south connections. So the big issue in the borough at the moment is you've got really strong east-west going into London. Obviously, there's great train links. Actually, the buses are
probably in the background, but
by creating a critical mass between our development, Dunton Hills, you'll actually create greater demand for buses, and therefore there's still discussions around it, but there is a very, very significant fund that is required for the buses that this development will pay for. So that's for buses, because really the existing the buses just aren't there at the moment. So you're not even getting to supplement an awful lot. You're having to actually invest very, very heavily in that. On the highways, where the mitigation is required, there will be funding. So if this development is pretty simple, you pay for your impact. So if there is any changes required to those networks, to those roads, and there's some discussions about certain roads get closed off, they become one way. We've looked a lot around the village as well, and I fully understand that this is significant change, and that's why we want to work with it and work through this.
Welcome, Di.
There's also a huge amount of rat running that happens at the moment through the village and going over the bridge for people that have no business in the village. And this would be that's confirmed through traffic counts, and again, your officers, I'm sure, can confirm that. But on your direct question, if this development is having an impact and should upgrade them, then it is required that there will be Section 106 obligations. And as been highlighted by your officers, we've agreed the heads of terms, but some of the exact amounts need to be fixed. And again, if there's things around with Essex County Council and working through that mitigation, we're very happy to do that during that time.
All right, take care.
Thanks, and thanks, Russell. So it's Kathy, then it's Tom.
Thank you, Chair. I've just got a question about how you see the future, because I looked at one of the maps, and obviously you've got the red boundary around this station site, but then there's a huge, like 4 times as much land also under developer ownership or control. What have you got planned? The question is, what sort of plans and what sort of timescale are you looking at that? Because I'm just thinking, you've got all that absolutely immense amount of development, then a proper job should be done with the bridge, because I'm really concerned about that bridge, and maybe it'd be better to look at the area as a whole.
Sorry, Kathy, can we keep it as a question rather than a statement? So what is the question?
So what are your plans for the larger area?
Thank you. If it's there, I'll answer this question. So we do have control of a much wider area, as you'll have seen in our submission. Our plans will probably follow the local plan, which we're waiting to see where your Reg 19 will take us. Separately, we're aware of the joint submission by Thurrock, Brentwood, Basildon and Essex for a new town at West Horndon, which proposed up to 20,000 new homes. So we are looking for leadership in this area. We will follow what's the ambition is, and it's there for us to follow. At the moment, we're just looking at the application in front of us.
Thank you. Tom.
Thank you, Chair. So obviously Essex County Council were quite critical of the transport modelling. Actually, what I've done, I've looked at the two sites, because if he was going to move to Dunton Garden Village, or would you choose to move here? Looking at the comparisons, so they're 3,700 across the road, sort of 30% affordable. You're 2,100, you're offering 50%, so obviously that's a vast increase. So whilst they're critical of your transport modelling, would you argue that your transport options are better, given you're closer to the station? Thank you.
As Ashley was probably rightly political, that I wouldn't compare things, but I guess one might look on a plan and see that we are obviously directly next to the station, which is obviously what government policy is encouraging. Dunton Hills is obviously in Brentwood, so a different local authority, but the key reason why Dunton Hills was selected was because of its proximity to West Horndon Station, and it's obviously along Station Road. And you access it that way, and they're obviously proposing a range of active travel links to bring them into West Horndon Station. So as part of all the work that they've proposed, we've taken regard to all of that in our transport studies. So everything is, yes, we're not in a world whereby there's all regional local plans whereby this is all drawn out in one plan, but as part of all of our technical studies, all of this had to be taken into account. And you're looking at how are they coming in and how are we then reflecting that. So actually that it can all work together, and that's part of the cumulative environmental impact assessments and also the transport assessments. But obviously both of them have there's a lot weighing in terms of sustainable travel and increasing the use of active travel.
Thanks, Tom. Leonora, as you've mentioned a couple of times, you do appreciate the need for a strategic approach. You do understand the need to work not just with Thurrock Council, but with Essex Council, because this has a massive impact on West Horndon Village. And you said a couple of times, as your colleague, that this needs to be seen in the round. It needs to be. So, from the sound of it, in order to be able to contribute fully to your transport plans, in order to contribute to your estimates in terms of S106, Essex Council is saying they need more time. Are you saying that you would like to engage with that process, or are you saying they've had long enough?
On the principle of development, so for what we're seeking planning permission for here tonight, our firm belief is that they've had sufficient time. What we are saying, we are very keen to keep working with them on what the mitigation looks like. So they're not turning up here this evening, or they haven't written in their objections that they are opposed to the principle of this development, to saying no to growth here, which I understand other parties are. So then we're down to, they're not opposed to the principle of development. Okay, they want to then go, well, how does this impact their local road network? And again, they've been involved in all of this. There is maybe an insinuation that this has all just arrived on someone's desk 3 weeks ago. that is obviously not true because they've been very involved in the process for many, many years. What they would now like to do is they would like to now appoint a new consultant and get them to verify the model. We were only advised of this probably a week before we came to committee in December. We didn't know that we were going to have to go through another layer. So we thought when National Highways signed it off, Thurrock Highways signed it off, we presumed that was everybody, Essex were also going to do it then. They didn't advise us in advance, oh, by the way, we will also have to go through another verification process. So, and I'm afraid to say that each time that you give a further extension and a further extension, you know, we'll just be in 2030 and actually there's still nothing happening here. So we want to keep working with them, and hence we did the further technical notes. I think you asked, Chair, what has happened with that note since, and it's just in a holding pattern, and we've offered multiple meetings, and I understand there's challenges with resourcing, so we want to work with them, but I'm afraid we wouldn't be in a position to just keep waiting because there's national policy in support of principle of development like this, and therefore, you know, we really need to be progressing with these applications, and that is what government is telling us to do.
Thank you. Bearing in mind that, and I don't want to overcommit Ashley because I appreciate it's a ballpark, but I believe we're talking about 3 to 6 months. I think 6 months was the figure given. So it's not an what's the word? It's not an open-ended request for more time. It's about 6 months. So how do you see, given that you want to engage, how do you see yourselves engaging and allowing that 6 months process to happen?
Thank you, Chair. You'll also note that in addition to the draft plan, the recommendation from your officers on the application, along with the draft planning conditions, they've also given you heads of terms and said, look, we need at least 6 months to basically work through all the details. And then if not, either we need further extension or to advise on that. I would see it running concurrent with that. So, you know, sometimes you wouldn't have that breathing space with a Section 106. You'd kind of be saying, actually, if the planning committee determined to approve the application, the client will be looking for their decision notice very soon thereafter. This would allow us to consider whether they require any further conditions or Section 106 mitigation. And I guess that could also be whether it's reported back. I'd obviously rely on Ashley, whether that's reported back to you, Chair, or other means. But I would see that it would run concurrent, that we are not going to then stop engaging should Planning Committee determine that the application should be accepted this evening, but that those two things could run concurrent. Whereas I guess my challenge is being entirely transparent. If we delay for another 6 months, then it's another 6 months, at least for Section 106, which means I'm here this time next year with even a good wind by the time we have a determination on this application. And I'm afraid
pushing,
that's
she?
A very difficult position.
Pushing.
Thanks. I appreciate it. It's the open-endedness that's the issue. One other question before I let you go. So you've mentioned engaging with local people. You've heard tonight that local people are not with you on this. At least you know, the representatives of local people have come along tonight to explain their quite fundamental.
Yes.
What are you planning to do in terms of engagement with local people that you're not able to do now?
Developments like this are really difficult for local communities. It is a massive change, and I entirely empathise with what these people are feeling. And I will come along and we will say we have sought to engage, and we have. There's been a very long engagement process.
I'm sorry, folks, we can't appreciate you have strong feelings. This is why I have to ask the individuals who come and speak to us the questions. So my apologies. Really have to ask you to just observe, please. Leanna.
Thank you, Chair, and I'll also hand to my colleague David to give a word on this too. There is a very detailed statement of community involvement submitted with the application, which details all of the engagement that has been sought. Unfortunately, as is life, you can't appease everyone, and everyone is entitled to, we live in a democracy, everyone is entitled to their views. We very much, our client is involved, I think David can speak on this better than I can, but we are in it for the long haul. We've been very patient with this application, as we explained previously. They own this, they've got options here on this site for more than 15 years, and they've waited for the right time to submit this application. We've always thought to engage, and we will continue to do that because we're long-term invested. But David, maybe you might want to give a comment from the client's perspective.
I guess to illustrate how long we've been involved in engagement with the local community, I first met West Horndon Parish Council in 2012. And me and my team have met them regularly. The pace picks up as different planning things go through. We've also sought to engage wider than just the immediate postcode. So you'll see this in the detail of our submission. We have reached out to communities of different ages, different geographies, and different. The industrial estate was mentioned earlier. We engaged directly with them, cups of tea and hoarding. So
cups of tea. Coming for a cup of tea, Vicar.
Folks, I really cannot have a conversation with yourselves. I appreciate you want to say something. You've had two people come up and speak on your behalf. We have asked them questions. We're now asking questions of the applicant. I'm afraid this is where we have to keep the conversation. All I would say, David, is, okay, you've been meeting with the council since 2012. Are the views you've heard expressed and the issues that have been raised a surprise to you?
They're not, but at the same time, the voices of a much wider section of the community have also been represented. So those requiring housing, those requiring employment, they are also in our consultation as well.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll move on to
debate.
Speaking to the planning officer, unless anybody else has any further questions. Thank you very much. Please return to your seats. Thank you.
Yeah, that weren't worth it, was it?
Right. So you've heard a fair amount of information. You've had a lot of information to digest. So next opportunity. So the next opportunity is for you to speak to the planning officer who has a question to ask.
One particular issue, which was in respect of consultation with the Civil Aviation Authority. We consulted with them, and those comments are included within the appendix to this report at Appendix 1, with the Civil Aviation Authority had no objections to the application.
Thanks, Will. Okay, so questions for Will. I think, Steve, you had one, then Tom, then Russell.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks for your effort in producing a not unsubstantial document, William. I appreciate that. It took a long time to read. There's a couple of questions I've got. One is, just at the backdrop, what's the logic of closing the bridge in brief?
Thank you, Chair. If I may, this was through discussions with the applicant and Essex County Council over the last 18 months. The modelling identified that there would be a significant amount of traffic that would travel over the bridge through the village and out to the A128 rather than the main access junction.
Yeah, I know it.
And the applicant proposed the mitigation that is within the report, which is to close it to all traffic except buses, cycling and walking, to mitigate that harm on the village setting. And that was in principally agreed by Essex County Council. And that's what one of the conditions, or there's several conditions within the report which relate specifically around that bridge and what happens to the implementation of that.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I was just trying to understand in simple terms what the thinking was, and I understand that. And the second question I've got, William, is it came out in when you were speaking about the project now being extended over a 15-year period, when, as far as I'm aware, the demand is more urgent than that. Can you explain that one for me?
Yeah, it's to do with the phasing of the development through you, Chair. So the phasing of the development allows for up to 15 years. That's not to say that there won't. Obviously, there's going to be early submissions of reserve matters applications, and that's quite normal. But the total time span of the application is 15 years.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Steve. It's Tom next.
Thank you, Chair. So, just obviously, again, looking at the two sites, as a planning officer, you've managed to squeeze some more affordable housing out of them, 50% as opposed to 30% across the road. The developer and ECC have just had a bit of to and fro there about the application potentially being rushed. Obviously, you're the planning officer. What's your observation of the situation? Obviously, your recommendation is for approval, so you must be, in your professional opinion, happy that all the boxes have been ticked up until this point. Thank you.
Well, certainly with regards to traffic impacts within Thurrock, I'm satisfied that appropriate mitigation is in place. What we're talking about with Essex is impacts beyond the borough boundary, so it's impacts upon their network rather than the network within Thurrock.
Yeah. Ashley.
So just to supplement Will's response, so I mean the application has been with the council for a significant period. You know, we're talking well over a year. So the requirement legislation is 16 weeks. So that's the pace that in theory we're meant to work at. Now, clearly an application of this size, it does take longer. There's been numerous consultations. What I would say, you know, committee can come to a decision, and I'll respect that decision. But ultimately, we are at a point where we have already deferred this item previously. We have had this application at a significant time, so committee need to be aware that the applicant is at a stage where they've agreed to that. They may not agree to a further deferral, and they would be within their rights. So committee must be aware that that risk that I referred to last time of non-determination does exist. So when you're coming to your decision making, just bear that in mind. It's not an open-ended, we can defer this forever. But in terms of the amount of time that this application has been with the council, the amount of time that Essex colleagues have had to engage in this application, I do consider that to be sufficient. And there have been consultations where Essex have not responded. And the latest information has been supplied within a sort of 21-day turnaround. So it is incumbent upon us, local planning authorities, to process that efficiently.
I think he's doing it monthly.
So ultimately, members need to be satisfied that they can make a decision.
Still trying to get rid of it, and
the applicant
he's
is
going to send it back to the site the way it's going, because I don't think
moving forward,
EA is interested now.
If committee are minded to approve, and hopefully that can resolve some of those finite issues
every month.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
And then he's going to send it back to site, so he says.
Tom, any follow-up, any further?
They've sent him pictures of his caravan saying how bad it is.
Thank you, Chair.
It's going to cost him, yeah. So
what I understand of the
phoning him up saying,
NPPF, it says
please
that
sign
it
it
should
over
recognise
to
the
us.
economic and
And he
other
says no,
benefits of the
because
most
he's got all his stuff in there.
versatile agricultural land where significant
I
development of
said, we don't know
agricultural land is
about
demonstrated
EA.
to be necessary. Areas of
EA wants
poorer
the
quality
caravan or
land
not.
should be preferred to those of higher quality. And what I learnt from our site visit is this is beautiful farmland, and I think we should stop calling it farmland in the future, because it is food land. It produces food, and so much quality food land is being built upon. Can you tell me, is this the best land in Thurrock for this development to take place?
Mm. I'll see if he's in.
I'm not sure if I can really answer that question, Chair. I mean, there was some commentary earlier about the status of this land as it relates to Thames Chase. The Thames Chase allocation, in terms of the impacts it has upon this part of Thurrock, is that it's a community forest which doesn't have the same status as a national landscape, should we say. The reason behind the Thames Chase approach was basically to provide green and blue infrastructure within the area of Thames Chase. This development provides for a significant amount of public open space. It provides areas in terms of addressing the drainage issues. There are ecological benefits behind the scheme, and as I say, a significant amount of recreation is provided within the development as well, over 40 hectares. Is this the right place? Well, in the context of an application of this scale, it's officers' views that it doesn't have an impact upon the wider setting of the agricultural land, accepting that, land is utilised for, yes, the growing of foods, but as we saw from the site visit, there was no evidence that anything was being grown on that site currently.
Oh, he hasn't seen it yet.
Thank you.
Okay, I know, Jonathan, you want to come in. Before I do that, Dan would like to, legal counsel would like to comment.
I might be jumping in on what John is about to say. Apologies. Councillor Cherry, so you were referring to the question of agricultural land grade and the value of this land. It's addressed at page 149 of your bundle, so it's paragraph 13.12.38. Now, agricultural land has a classification, and the classification is divided into what is called best and most versatile agricultural land, and then the rest of the land. And NPPF defines best and most versatile agricultural land as grades 1, 2, and 3A. So the grading goes 1, 2, 3A, 3A, 4. I can't remember if there's a 5, but anyway. 1, 2, and 3A are the grades of land which attract protection for ALC, best and most versatile agricultural land, under NPPF. The assessment for this scheme is that none of the land here is best and most versatile agricultural land. So 97% of the land area is 3B. So it is not BMV land and doesn't attract for specific protections for best and most versatile agricultural land. So I just wanted to clarify the precise wording, because you referred to the wording in the MPPF.
Russell, do you want to go back?
Just like to point out, Will, that you saw nothing growing because it's winter when we visited. It is agricultural land that is being used. And you might be able to help me out with this one point. I overheard the applicant saying that this is going to be part of 20,000 homes that's going to be built possibly on the rest of our agricultural land in that area. Is that something that you're aware of? Because you've not informed us that that's their future plans for this area to be 20,000 homes.
Yeah, Ashley, if you would like to come in on that.
So the application in front of you is as defined within the committee report, and that's what you need to make your decision upon. The reference to 20,000, I think the applicant was merely referring to a new town submission that Essex, Brentwood and Thurrock were involved in. But at this stage, you're not making a decision on future growth beyond the sort of 2,000 that's identified within the application description.
Okay, so basically, if I understand that rightly, one, that 20,000 was actually a joint council application strategy, not an application. And two, yeah, I mean, as we've said on many occasions, you can only really consider the application in front of you, and what might happen further down the line, I'm afraid we are not in a position to rule on. So we really do have to look at this on its own merits. Sure.
Another question for you, Will, is something I asked earlier of the applicant is, the roads around this development of 2,100 homes we've been told just to concentrate on aren't fit for purpose. They are derelict roads with national speed limits. They're not safe.
1950s,
so what plans have we got in relation to dealing with that? Can we afford to repair, bring those roads up to grade? Thank you.
Chair, if I may come in from respect to the Highways Authority. Members, I'll draw your attention to condition 26, which is specifically around Dunnings Lane and St Mary's Lane, which is within the council's highways asset. There is a requirement under the reserved matter submission to provide details of a monitoring and mitigation plan for those specific roads, so that if issues arise from the development.
So they'll probably put one of those boxes down there then to measure how many cars go down there a day.
And there will be a mitigation package that will be secured via Section 106 to mitigate against those impacts.
More of our money going, guys, for Section 106.
That could be in the form of road widening. It could be in the form of closing roads.
Calming measures.
It could be in the form of not actually having the access from the development onto those roads in its entirety, or bus lanes and such. Yeah, the reason why this was requested is because we do have concerns over traffic movements on those country lanes and the impact that it may actually have on the village of Balvin to the south, particularly if we get a high level of rat running traffic from the A127 using those roads once they've been upgraded.
Thank you for that. So if we're looking at evidence base, so if this development was to go ahead, those roads are used by cyclists. There's quite a few cyclists that I know, cycle groups go there, pedestrians and horse riders. Are those roads safe now, and will they be safe in the future with the increased traffic?
Oh, right.
Thank you, Chair.
You might, yeah. So you
definition
might
of
go
country
around there.
lanes, there is no demarcation for cyclists on that road.
If you come up to Essex.
Under the highway code would be able to use that road, but there is no specific designation for them or anything like that. So it would be similar to a typical road that doesn't have cycle facilities on it. The council does have an improvement programme called the LC WIP, which identifies improvements across Thurrock with regards to walking and cycling. What we have sought to achieve with the applicant as mitigation
LC
is mitigation on the A128 between the site and Balvin, but also to improve and upgrade the public rights-of-way networks that are within the site and also to the south of the site to make sure that we've got good access routes.
2017, so it's 9 years old.
Otherwise, see an improvement for, which at the moment are currently through the middle of fields. But with regards to the country lanes, we wouldn't necessarily want to start putting in designated cycle paths because we would require significant.
This is the LC whip from 2017.
But as I said, the monitoring and mitigation package is there to identify if there are any issues.
Up to 2040.
Part of the development that we can actually go in and retrofit and solve those issues as they arise.
You got enough water there, mate?
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Russell. Any further questions? Kathy.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to ask about the status of the station on the south side, because to me that's crucial, really, if we're going to have people living there, because the bridge will, if you haven't got access to Southside Station, you're going to need to get across the bridge to get to the north side. So anyway, so just the status of that, if you know.
Thank you, Chair. Discussions with the applicant and Network Rail have been undertaken. We've been involved in those discussions with Network Rail through our regular update meetings with them. From what I understand, the application provides a southerly access to the railway station, so the southern platform, so you can get access to it from the development. There is on-platform crossing facilities, which is a stepped crossing facility, but it's obviously not suitable for disabled users or people who can't go up and downstairs. But as part of the application, St Mary's Lane is provided with an active travel link, so walking and cycling that is off carriageway. And by doing that, it's reducing the width of that carriageway to a single lane with a proposal of traffic lights on either side. That's been put forward by the applicant with Essex County Council as it is their asset. The highway in that area is their asset. And in principle, they have agreed that mitigation, which is what's covered under the conditions. And if I bear with me, members, the St Mary's Lane Bridge has got 3 conditions relating to the various stages of those implementation works going in.
To me, I understand that, what you're saying, but if there was a step-free access within the station, the active travel link across St Mary's Bridge would be less crucial.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. And yes, I would agree with that from a
Commando, I thought about that.
Where
have I seen that haircut before?
Because it would be more efficient. However, from the response from Network Rail, they did not consider that that would be appropriate for the size of the development. Their focus was more about getting that gate access to the southern platform so that people on the southern side of that railway line can get easy access to the station from the southern side, rather than everyone having to go over the bridge to access from the north and then cross over on the platforms.
So as it stands, people, it's not just disabled, it's people with pushchairs, people on bikes, you know, any heavy luggage or whatever, will have to use St Mary's Bridge. Okay, thank you.
Just picking up on that, actually, a couple of points that haven't been, I think it's been pretty exhaustive, the question. 2 points that have not been picked up. One was the question around the interchange and whether we develop to the north or to the south side of the railway line. How, if at all, are you planning to address that concern?
Sorry, just to clarify, in terms of the interchange.
Yeah, I think the question, or rather the point was made that the interchange, the plan currently is for the bulk, it's for a lot of the infrastructure there to be on the north side of the railway line, and the point has been made that it may actually make more sense to have it on the south side. I think Essex County Council Ashley was mentioning that he would like to see some, quote, flexibility, and I'm wondering how we would address that request.
Are you referring to like the transport interchange at the station?
Yes.
Yeah. So as part of the illustrative master plan, there is kind of a town centre, from what I can see, forming south of the railway line where the station access is, there would be provision for a bus turnaround facility, cycle
It's only a
parking.
village at the moment, isn't it?
To
West
see some
Horn
level of
is a
car
village.
parking being provided
I
as
can't
well
see how they're going to make
to
it a
meet with the
town.
council's
I
parking
suppose they
standards for
could
that
if it is
particular
north
use of the
side, yeah.
station.
So there's nothing
you know,
there.
as members will probably recall, from
South
site
side is
visit,
where the industrial
car
estate
park on the
is.
northern side is quite contrived access, and it's a very well subscribed car park. There was hardly any spaces within there. So obviously providing that additional capacity on the southern side would provide a benefit.
And do you see that as something we can deal with via conditions, or is it part of reserve matters?
I think it would be part of the 106, but obviously through the reserve matters, if the station is being applied for as part of that reserve matters, there would be set standards that we'd expect from our parking standards to provide the necessary infrastructure that we would require.
Okay, thank you. Now, I'm going to move into debate next. Before we do so, Ash has asked for Dan to come in, and I think Ash, you want to come in as well.
Thank you, Chair. Just as there were a number of questions about highways and conditions, I just wanted to flag the relevant policy for the committee, as there is a specific test in MPPF that must be applied, and it would be an error of law not to. So the requisite test is set out by MPPF para 116. So to refuse an application on the basis of highways grounds, MPPF says development should only be prevented or refused on highways grounds if there will be an unacceptable impact on highway safety, or the residual cumulative impacts on the road network following mitigation would be severe, taking into account all reasonable future scenarios. So MPPF is quite clear that some highway impacts, some negative highway impacts are envisaged by development. The other thing, because it's relevant to highways, is conditions. Councillor Cherry asked about some of the conditions, and the committee will be aware that one of the ways you can control the impact of development is through conditions. MPPF is similarly clear that local planning authorities should consider whether otherwise unacceptable development could be made acceptable through the use of conditions or planning obligations. And MPPF expresses a preference
The lawyers getting involved now.
I highlight that because refusing an application on the basis of something that can be managed by condition, we are told by the appeals guidance produced by the government, PPG, may be unreasonable. So all of that comes together to say severe impacts for highways if you're going to refuse on the basis of that paragraph I read out, and I read out the full paragraph. And also you must consider whether, if you do have a residual concern, it can be controlled by condition. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Dan. And from what you're saying, that would be severe impact after mitigation.
Yes. So you need to assess the scheme as the complete and final unit. As I say, so it's unacceptable impacts or severe impact is essentially the wording.
Thanks, Dan. Ash?
So there's just some points raised on Thames Chase plan, and colleague Will picked up some of that in the answer in terms of how the scheme provides for blue infrastructure. I just want to be clear, the square meterage is 98 square miles for the Thames Chase area, so that's obviously significant. So if you were not to see any development in that sort of square meterage, it would really prohibit any growth over a significant area, including parts of London. So the point I would make is we have obviously engaged our landscape ecologist, and in this element, the landscape officer has fed into the application and been consulted and helped shape what sort of come forward. And I think really when you look at that Thames Chase plan, it's about providing a framework for strategic placemaking. So I don't view that as prohibiting development in that area. So it's just that point, Chair.
Now the debate.
Thanks, Ash. Right, I'd like to move on to debate. So who would like to start us off, please?
This is only on section 7, guys, you know.
Yeah, I've raised many of my concerns
We're
in
going to fall
questions
asleep,
to
I
the
think.
officers. It is, I call, beautiful food land. It provides food as, and the whole country is being built up over. And in the event, I mean, this government is warning us about potential wars and blockades of the country. And I think even Churchill said the battle that he feared most was that of the Battle of the Atlantic, where we couldn't feed ourselves. So I'm against building on good food land. And also around this site, those roads, we said we might be able to satisfy those with a condition, but the roads at the moment as they stand aren't fit. There's going to be a substantial amount of money needed to be invested because those roads have potholes, they have flooded areas, they have no clear defined boundaries between the road and the ditches. And there will be a significant increase in traffic.
Yeah, it could be,
and it will impact on those roads, which will be severely damaged and may well lead to some serious accidents in the future.
Yeah.
And I also don't like the fact that we can dictate to the people of West Horndon that we're going to close their bridge in one direction. You know, that village has been there for a considerable length of time, and they've enjoyed their travel in that direction. And for someone to rock up,
over the bridge,
to build substantial amount of houses and tell them they can no longer go in one direction on their bridge, I don't think is correct. And we're also being set up for the future. I know we're told we're not to deliberate that, but you've got to consider it for an extra 20,000 homes in that area, all over our food land. And that will be a fantastic impact on the whole of Thurrock. And what we, as Thurrock residents and Thurrock councillors, have got to let the officers know is that we live in Thurrock. I don't know if you people live in Thurrock. I don't think you do. But we don't want to see Thurrock turned into a big housing estate that won't benefit the majority of people of Thurrock. It'll benefit some, but it'll be benefiting people from London. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, when I said that in the 60s, though, didn't I, about Basildon? Where'd you come from? Basildon. Oh, London. All right. Same as us.
Thank you, Russell.
Where'd you come
Sue.
from? London. You know?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I understand the people of Horndon don't want these properties built there, but we've got to understand that we have got a housing waiting list of 7,000 people on it.
Yeah, a housing waiting list of migrants.
And for me, this ticks all the boxes. You know, I'm sorry to say that we've got to build them there, but we've got to start building them somewhere. And we can't stay stagnant. And we've got to move on as a borough and enhance bringing new properties and infrastructure to it. That's what I say.
Jackie, were you?
Thank you, Chair. It's not often Councillor Cherry and I agree.
Just really makes me
but
so
I
mad,
completely agree with him on this. He said everything that really I couldn't have done it more justice than Councillor Cherry has, and on this occasion, me and my friend Sue don't agree.
Me and my friend Sue,
absolutely, 100% will not go anywhere near
We had our
this.
wine today, we did, and we said we agreed to it, you know, yeah. We've been in the spoons lately.
Thanks, Jackie. Roy, and then Kathy.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I'd like to thank Nadia, Jonathan, William, and Matthew for our day out. It was a day out, a bit muddy, but at least it gave us a good chance to see. And I think they, should we say, organised it well. In the fact that we see so many different areas of the proposed development. Equally, I'd like to thank iSenior for sending a lovely drone footage, probably 5, I think, of the proposed development.
Yeah, she is.
And what that showed me, Chair, was it was farmland growing food, because you can see the tractors working there. So I respectfully got to disagree with comments made that it isn't farmland. It was. It openly showed you the drone footage that the farmland was being worked. And I know, fully respect people saying that we've got to have homes, I still can't accept it being built on farmland. And that's the way I think we should determine it. And I know we can't refuse it on that. Equally, the drone footage showed how congested the 127 was, because they had that part over there, and the 127 was snarled back for miles. The drone footage was fantastic. It really was. It, you know, helped us out quite a bit.
He was always there. He always
And
next to Roy.
the other thing is that our legal man here, who's very, I respect him greatly, is alluded that we're going to refuse this. You know, you can't refuse, you can't refuse. You know, that's kind of like a bit of predetermination in one respect. It might be that, in my estimation, is that we're not quite ready for this yet. I don't think we've seen Essex County Council here. We've seen the parish council people here. We've heard from the residents, even though they're not allowed to speak. I think there's a few issues here that need to be addressed. If we're going to do it, we need to get it right. I don't think the bridge is adequate. I think that needs to be upgraded. Yeah. And it's okay saying about, okay, we'll do that later, but that's all we've ever heard in Thurrock. I was on this committee 12 years ago, and that was a continuous thing. We're going to get it tomorrow, not today when it's needed. And tomorrow never comes. Yeah. The train station. I can't see that train station coping. We've got Dunton Garden
It's
Village.
on the main line, isn't it? It's not on our line.
The idea is that there's going to be an active travel, should we say, plan between Dunton Garden Village and getting to the station. I can't see that station coping with all this development. You know, so that's another thing that really needs to be addressed urgently. That needs to be upgraded. So does the car park. So does the bridge. There's so much here that is not right. No secondary school. So there we go. We've got to have travel now. You could have up to 1,000 children here that need to go secondary school somewhere. It's okay saying, and do they want to go? So they can have buses. But there again, even the buses, it says here we're going to. It says here that we're going to support the buses for 5 years, but actually it might be a 15-year build. So if at all, it should be 15 years.
There's only one bus that goes there at the moment. Is it a 9?
So think of it that way.
Number 9.
I just think, once again, also we've got to look at the development in this area. We've got the Dunton Garden, and you've got this. There's a lot going on, and the roads, we know, can't take it. So we need to just address a few issues here that Essex County Council put forward, and then maybe we can look at it again. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Roy. Kathy.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'd like to follow on from what Roy was saying. I think what worries me to some extent, well, quite a large extent, is this piecemeal approach, and where it's not actually adequate, that bridge, because people won't be able to get to their homes where they're so used to using that. If you travel from this side of Thurrock, how will you get to the new development? You'll have to go right round, more pressure on the 127, 128 and all this. The station, again, it needs to be properly thought out. And also, like the active travel we're talking about to secondary school, well, that works both ways. So we need to be working in partnership with the new developments there. I know we're only looking at what's in front of us, but we must have mind to what might be coming. Our local plan is close. You know, we'll have a better idea of what might be coming in actually not very, very long. And it would also give a chance for Essex County Council to look at that bridge, to look at other highways issues. So I don't know, but I understand it is just in principle. So maybe there may be some room there for saying agree in principle. But my worry is that once that's agreed, it's difficult to stop things that you're worried about coming through. So they're my concerns.
Russell, I know you wanted to come back in, but I think I'd just like to come back in here and just correct something. So, as I understand it, and he can talk for himself, I know, but Dan is not saying you can't refuse. What he's saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, is if you can deal with something via a condition, you put in a condition. It's not grounds for refusal. If you feel that this isn't right yet, that isn't right, that isn't right yet, then those, you have to ask yourself, is that something that, do we need a number of conditions in place to make sure these things aren't messed up? Or is it sufficient grounds for me to say, no, I don't like the whole idea of the thing in the first place? Okay, so that's, just to be clear, at the end of the day, you've got to make your own decision, but we need to be clear that in terms of reasonable or unreasonable grounds, reasonable grounds would be, there's something wrong with the basic principle of putting the thing there. An unreasonable ground for refusal is an issue that we could deal with via a condition. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Chair. I always look forward to Dan when he comes across with his expert advice. What I found out of being on this committee, there's many interpretations of the law. That's the thing. You know, one thing can be that's okay now, and the next minute it's not okay now. So there's many interpretations of the law, but I always appreciate Dan's input. Thank you.
I think he's got to come back in.
Yes, no, thank you. Well, as the committee will be aware, ultimately you're under a statutory duty to apply the relevant development plan and MPPF among other material considerations. Yes, Chair, you correctly summarised what I was saying in that, yes, generally it will be unreasonable to refuse for a reason that can be managed by condition or planning obligation. In addition, though, the reasons for refusal must...
Hello, good evening.
...basic standing of constitutionality. So you cannot refuse for a reason that no reasonable planner can come to, applying the national and local policy. And just as an example to make the point, the interpretation of farmland policy and what is said in MPPF about best and most versatile agricultural land, which Councillor Cherry referred to, para 187B of MPPF, is directed to best and most versatile agricultural land. It is not directed to all agricultural land. And so to assume that that protection applies to all agricultural land would be a misinterpretation of policy, which would be an error of law. There are things that people can disagree about as a matter of planning policy, you know, how you weight something in the planning balance. Some things are fixed by the proper interpretation of national and local policy, and errors of that kind will result in appeals and successful appeals. So I just want to remind the committee, but it's not simply a matter of can you control it by condition, also you need to apply national and local planning policy lawfully. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Dan. So we have Russell again, then we have Aaron, and we have Shrikant. Okay, Russell.
Oh, yeah, he's going to talk.
Thank you, Chair. I'd also like to point out as well, with this extra 2,100 homes for that particular site, you've got the Dunton Village, you've got the development at Brentwood also, and the collusion that we might have an extra 20,000 homes. We've got to wait to see what a local plan decides upon, and equally also the plan for Essex. We've had the mayoral election cancelled, so we haven't got someone there who can lead what Essex needs. What we need now in Thurrock already is another hospital, because the amount of people who tell me that they waited up to 12 hours to be seen at our existing hospital. It's all well we're going to get a GP surgery at this new location. Already the government is offshoring GPs in foreign countries. So you'll be contacting your GP over the internet. So we need...
Try and keep it relevant, please, Russell.
Yeah, well, part of the condition we need for all this extra development is an efficient running hospital or another hospital to deal with the new population that we'll be getting.
Thank you. Aaron.
Thank you, Chair. The application in front of us, is on the Metropolitan Greenbelt, but I do agree exceptional circumstances will occur in this occasion. We have 2,100 properties with 50% affordable. 50% affordable for families who haven't got a home, somewhere they can finally,
HMOs eventually.
the MPPF is clear. We may not like it, but we need to follow it. And the possible objections heard here have been addressed, and I can't see or hear any reason to object this evening, so I will be voting in favour.
Thanks, Aaron. Srikanth.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity.
Already said they're
Thank you, William, for the detailed report. As we know, Thurrock deserve more homes, and as per national policy, we supposed to have 5 years of land in hand. Unfortunately, we have only 1 year to supply. So sad to know about that one. So this is like a exceptional thing as per national policy. But at the same time, like this 2,100 is a big, huge development, and it's going to cover up 1/3 of the gap. So that one like a good for the Thurrock. But at the same time, we've been site visit last time, and I saw that one is a completely is a green belt and farmland, very beautiful, nice place, that one. But unfortunately, roads are not in proper conditions. That one is, we need to think about that one. And we deserve a more house, but at the not cost of the losing greenery, farmland. So I don't want to support this one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for. Oh, Tom, would you like to come in?
Yeah, cheers. So, thank you, Chair. Well, look, I like to do the numbers as people speak. There's 9 members on the committee, and 5 have already suggested that this is not for them. So, courtesy to how me and you vote, it looks like this could be heading towards rejection. I'm not going to fight for it too much. I do think this should go ahead. I think my main concern is grey belt policy. It's new. I still think we're still trying to get our head around it. And ultimately, if we do reject it, it goes to appeal. There's a strong chance it loses. I've said that a few times before. Just an opinion, I think that as a committee, we are quite protective of the rural area. I think a little bit too protective. When you look at the schemes we've approved in the last 4 or 5 months, it's in heavily built up areas, Stanford, Corringham, Ockenden. It wasn't that long ago we built a large scheme in Aveley, and I think unfortunately, if you're only concentrating one area, they're the areas that get hit the most. So I do think rural areas need to take their bit as well. So there's nothing really more for to add. It's really the fact that, courtesy to what happens here this evening, it's my opinion that this will be overturned, but that's not a reason either to approve or not approve. So yeah, nothing else to add, Chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Sure, Steve. And
Thanks, Chair. At the risk of not over-influencing any of my colleagues here, and I purposely waited to last. Fortuitously, they've pretty much covered everything I would have said. Unfortunately, it appears we're no longer able to defend the Greenbelt in virtually any circumstances. But looking at this site, apart from the fact, as far as I'm concerned, it's what I would call decent Greenbelt. The infrastructure is inadequate. The access isn't great. The bridge closure is not a great idea. And in terms of dealing with the housing, and I agree, yeah, we need houses, but we're not going to see them for immediately. This is over a period of 15 years.
15 years, yeah.
And the reason all this has become so highlighted is yet again because we haven't got a local plan. And after sitting here for 15 years, we've never had a local plan that's been up to date appropriately. And that isn't the fault of the people sitting on this committee, and that's my view of the whole issue. So you can nitpick, and I appreciate Daniel's point, and I accept his point that there are things we can't argue against. However, it begs a question that if the appropriate thing was in place, would we not be in a lot stronger position than we are now? Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Steve. Kathy, and then we will. I'll sum up.
I don't know the feasibility, because obviously this is agreement in principle. Can we somehow tie it time-wise to waiting for the consultation with Essex County Council and just seeing what's coming forward on the local plan just as a way of saying, yes, we're not ruling it out entirely, but we need some more information.
So you're saying we agree in principle, but we make a condition of further development, input from Essex County Council and from the local plan. Officers?
Thank you, Chair. So, as a starting point, when, and it's something we may pick up later, when you make a decision to grant in this committee, that isn't the actual grant of permission. So the grant of permission is the decision notice, which I think, as was explained in this case, is likely to come in about 6 months' time, and was a recent Court of Appeal case which made clear that you need to have the terms of the Section 106 before you issue the final decision notice. So it is the case that there will be a period of time, I think it was indicated that it would be months, before the Section 106 is complete, and therefore you can issue the DM, decision notice. Now, as a matter of principle, you can give a resolution to grant, and then you can come back to committee and reconsider that grant. It's pretty unusual and not often done, but you can do it. And one of the reasons you can do that is because of a change of circumstance, for example. Now, if it were the situation that, I don't know, currently no one has said that this is going to have a severe impact on the highways network. If you in 2 months' time got someone coming along saying, here is the evidence that it does, that may be a reason to come back to committee. That is a reason, that is something for this council to consider and ultimately this committee to consider. So the grant, if you were to grant today, is not the final grant. On the other hand, you would need good reasons to come back. It's not simply a sort of carte blanche to do anything you want. So I say all of that simply to conclude the point that what was being told to you about what the 6 month period after, or however long it will be, you know, what is available there, that is there. On the other hand, also raised the question about prematurity, so waiting for the local plan. MPPF is quite clear when you can refuse when you're waiting for local plan or some other matter of prematurity, which is essentially that it will be seldom be justified whether the draft plan has been submitted for examination. That's the case here, para 50.
And it's boring, isn't it?
So that gives you the answer to that question, and it's likely to be, I think Ash can come in this, a number of months.
And we're only on Section 7 at the moment. This is the first debate. Can't believe it.
Your Reg 19 is due. The final point I should say, though, is so there's also a test for applying conditions, and you can't apply simply open-ended conditions.
If you want to come back later,
so officers set out a number of conditions, and the Section 106, which will include...
I might do actually, yeah. I'm just going to sort myself out.
Right,
there can be sort of open-ended...
I'll see you in an hour or so.
Yeah, give me an hour.
So I think the answer I'm giving you there, Councillor, is you can have conditions to achieve specific things. You can't have a general condition to consult with Essex County Council. I hope that assists. I know that was quite a lot of things all at once.
Yeah, I suppose I was looking, can we have the condition? So it would depend on Essex County Council agreement to the highways issues. Could we have that?
You could stage things behind. So you could apply a condition which requires things to be submitted to a council. So there's a number of conditions already in there. I don't know if officers are able to advise on whether that would be acceptable. It seems to me that it may struggle to pass what's called the SIL test, and the question of whether, sorry, not the SIL test, the test for planning conditions, and whether that's sufficiently definite.
So who else is on?
Can somebody answer that for us, please? Jonathan, maybe?
Yeah, would agree with Dan's assessment that that wouldn't be a reasonable condition that we could apply. The conditions that have been put on there in consultation with Highways team are very thorough. They do, in my mind, cover all the issues that members have raised. So we would be satisfied as officers that those conditions cover what you're looking for.
One more, and then we really need to get on to the vote. Roy.
Thank you, Chair. So as I'm reading this now, because I was actually what Kathy put forward, I was going to say, can we defer this until the Essex County Council? I mean, Jonathan, I appreciate what you're saying, that Thurrock's happy with the roads. Yeah. Me personally, in my opinion, I'm not. But, and I know others on there aren't, including residents, but what I'm saying is, as it's outside the borough, it's obviously there is issues. So I was minded to maybe ask for a deferment and come back, and so we can address many. It's not just the highways, Essex had other issues as well. And we put a time frame on it. We don't say 6 months, like let them have 6 months. We say, okay, we can understand that the applicant has waited a long time, well, a year. Ashley of Essex County Council actually said that the one across the road, as Tom puts it, that was 3.5 years in the process of coming together to make sure everything was in place.
Oh, that's that one
This
on the
one's been a
A128,
year.
yeah.
So maybe it just needs a little bit more longer as to get more in place. So that was what I was minded to put forward. So we can make sure that when it comes back in, we can say, look, 3 months now, and then we come back here and we look over it again and make sure that everything's in place and we're happy with the roads, the bridge, the schools, the active travel plan. There's many things in there that need to be addressed. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Roy. Aaron, I know you had a question for the officers.
Ashley, if we did take Roy's proposal, sorry, are we at risk here of non-determination?
Yes, in simple terms, yeah.
Okay. Before we move on to the vote, I think what's very clear, and I think what everybody in the room can agree on, is that this, as it stands, isn't yet how everybody would like it. We have issues with the highways, we have issues with the station. We have to consider, I think, although this is within Thurrock, it opens onto West Horndon, it opens onto Essex County Council. There are clearly a number of things which are not yet as we would like them to be. The point that I would like to make is I think pretty much everything that we have gone into at great detail can be addressed via conditions. And I come back to what we've said, that if your issue is something, if basically you just disagree with the whole principle of the thing, it shouldn't be there, it shouldn't be, fine. If you have specific concerns, specific things that you feel need to be addressed before this development can finally be built, then we can and should address those through conditions. That, in effect, is the line we're looking at here. If you don't agree with the principle, then fine, vote that way. If the principle you can cope with, it's the detail, then bearing in mind we were looking at outline permission. We have a whole next stage when the application for full permission comes back in, and we have a whole raft of conditions already in. I don't think there's any reason we can't add to those if we feel that they are not enough. So that's my guidance, if you like. Be very clear. If you're against the principle, then fine, vote to refuse. If you have concerns about how it will be developed, then the correct route should be conditions. So I think...
Can I just say, Chair, it's conditions and as well the section 106. And then, as you say, there's the reserve matters applications as well. But just to flag, if you want to apply a condition to the outline, that will have to be done now.
Like he said. I would like to, well, in fact, I'd like to do two things. Firstly, as we've just gone 8:15, I would like to move a motion without notice to suspend Council Procedure Rule 11.1 to allow the meeting to continue beyond the 2.5-hour time limit. Are we in agreement? Thanks. Right, okay, so firstly, I'm going to go to the recommendation, then we will see where we go from there. So, The recommendation, to come back because we're still on early item. The recommendation is that outline approval is recommended, subject to the heads of terms, S106 and planning conditions. Do I have a proposer for that recommendation? Councillor Kelly. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Shinnick. All those in favour of granting outline permission? Okay. All those against? And are there any abstentions? Right, so that is carried, but in doing so, are there any conditions? I apologise, gents, if are there any conditions that we are? I'm sorry, apparently I can't. Well, we will have to wait for reserved matters now, because the approval of because the recommendation has been approved, it is approved with the existing conditions. However, Dan, would you like to explain?
So,
sorry, Jackie, by all means, if you need
to. Yes. So, what was just voted on was the application as made. So that is the application with the conditions listed in the officer's report, is what's just been approved. It remains the case that section 106 still needs to be agreed. The heads of terms are in there, and obviously there's the RMA process around it. However, sorry, can I just have a moment, Chair, just to speak to Ash?
Would you like to get a quick natural break? I've sat you down here for a long time. That gives these two a chance to chat. So please feel free to take 5-10 minutes.
We're having a break. Let's see if they go off. Or when I go to the toilet.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm bound to put the recommendation. If it had been...
if they go off, I'll...
If it had fallen, then we could have looked at changing it. But it has to be voted on as is.
Right. Meeting's been paused. Right, so let's go to me. I'll have to try and keep that on. So if I stop screen for now, and then that's still on there, isn't it? Yeah, right, that's still on there. Right, so this is what one was this? Was number 7? It's the West Horndon one, isn't it? Is that one? Which is West Horndon. That one. Oh, it's put me down there. So if I go to that, no, that one. So let's go back to the map. So this is the map that they're talking about. Let's try and blow it up a bit. Existing river course. So they're just taking it from the existing river course at the moment, the map is. So basically that bit over there looks like that's Horndon, West Horndon. That is the A128. What was that? No, hang on. No, that might be another part over there. Oh, don't show you. That might be West Horndon then over there. And that might be the A128. That might be the A127 there. So this bit here might be West Horndon. This is on, because that looks like the A127 there. I wonder if there's another bloody bit of map. Let's see if we can find a bit of map. They don't show the bloody maps on here, do they? No. There's no maps on here. Right. Right, so let's get rid of that. You put me back on there. Oh, let's go to the map. Let's go Orsett map. And they're still paused, so. Oh no, it could be that. It could be that map. Because there's A127 there. So it could be that. Alright, hang on. Alright, so blow up that. Share screen. Orsett. Alright, so there's West Horndon. So this bridge they're talking about is this one, which is the up and over. So there's the industrial estate. So that's coming out of the village, out of West Horndon village. Goes up there, over the train station. I actually not lost it, but I actually did go fast round here once, and it was a bit worrying. I think Dave was in his Beetle. I can't remember all those years ago. And that's the road there. And let's have a look, see if we can find the Dunnings Lane now. This is Dunnings Lane. Is that Dunnings Lane there? Yeah, they are. St Mary's. Yeah, I've been down here before as well. So basically, it's all this site here. All this is that you can see. It's going to be all houses. This is what they're talking about, and you can see how bad the road is. Like single track, just like a farm track, isn't it? Probably get 2 cars down there if they're small enough. But I mean, look, imagine that. Look, you can hardly get through there. Look, that car's there. Oh, out. So this is all. So basically, all this side here, all that side there, because this is all the north side of Dunnings Lane. So we've got houses there, all farmland. All potholes and everything. 50-mile-an-hour roads. And this is taking up towards Orsett. This is. So this is all that area. And I think this comes out on the A128, so I'm not mistaken. Is this the oh no, Fen Lane it comes out on, right. Oh, so basically Fen Lane. So if you go that way where that car's going, that's South Ockenden. And if you go this way, it's to Bolton. So it looks like it's not part of that area there then. So it looks like it's only up to there. All right. Are they back yet? No, they're still meeting. So it looks like it's all that area there, all this area. I don't know about that. Chillingham Hall contract, I don't know about that. But it's basically all this. It's all this area. JC Watson's, that's all that area. There's the Mardyke. Yeah, they was talking about that, weren't they? And there's Church Road. So, and that new estate is there. That's the new estate. I think, is it that one there? Yeah, because that's the old road there. Remember that being, because you got the halfway house on the A127. Do you remember that at Brentwood? And I'm sure only Does it say what bus goes down here? Does it say what? Is it a bus station? Sure, I remember a bus. Ah, yeah. What bus is it? Is it a 9? Oh, 49, 481 and 567. 565. No, I don't know any of them ones. Oh, 49 and 565 is the ones that they use, right? They come yet? No, they haven't come back yet. So that's that. Let's come out of there. So what we got next, if I do the agenda, I don't know if anyone wants to come in after they want a link, let us know. All right. Planning committee. No, not that one. It's the agenda. Right, it's that one. Right, can you see that one? Yeah, it's blown it up to that. All right, so this is number 7 that we're on at the moment. We're still debating that. Then number 8 is Clarence Road. So whether they're going to carry on doing all these, I don't know. They'll probably flipping stop it. So you've got number 8 next. Number 9, Chelmer House, Riverview. Number 10 is Calcutta Road, which is Tilbury. Number 11 is Riverview, Chadwell St Mary. And then the next, Parade Hall Road, Aveley. And of course, Orsett Quarry can't be taken over, so that's going to be stopped. And then, of course, then you read this. Members are asked to consider whether the press and public should be excluded from the meeting during consideration of agenda item on the grounds that it involves a likely disclosure of exempt information as specified in Part 1, Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972, where they buggered up, I suppose, because all the names and the addresses. I said my one come down as Mary something, not Mary Kelly from Flipping Jack the Ripper, or something Mary. And I thought, I don't live, no Mary at this address, you know. The public interest in maintaining the exemption and discussing matters in private outweighs the public interest in disclosing the information. Yeah. So, are we not coming back yet? No. This meeting has been paused. We recommence soon. So that land adjacent to Snakes, are we covering that one? That's not on there either, land adjacent to Snakes. Oh, it is, yes, it's that one. There's the last one, number 14. Yeah, so it is on there. I don't think anyone's going to flipping. Does anyone want to pop in? EA, are you still there, mate? Or is Glyn there? Because it hasn't. Looks like they're not coming back yet. I'm just trying to find that. Orsett Quarry. Yeah. So if you click on it, it does go down to it. So this is the Orsett Quarry here. It's Stanley Oak. So that's the application. But of course, this is not being, they're not going to talk about this now, of course. But that's basically the application. There's mucking. So that's all that area there. St Clair's, you got the school and you've got the new estate there. So we're not carrying on yet, I don't know why. Oh. Site location plan. Oh, wrong one. Hang on. That's a spinny one. No, hang on. Let's pull it out a bit so I can see. Mineral extraction at Walton Hall Farm for processing on land at Orsett Quarry. I'll tell you what we could do while we're waiting for them. We could go to Thurrock Nab News. Let's find out what he's doing. All right. Mail merge blunder delay. Yeah, that's the one. So let's just come out of there. Go to that. Do Thurrock Nub News. There we go. So can we see that? Yep, we can. So if I go down to that. So you've got that new mini hospital coming up in Basildon, which was the old Debenhams. I thought they got rid of the old Debenhams because that was part of the new estate that they was building, but it must be part of that then. And then you've got that Malmerge blunder. Yeah. Delay for the water as welcomed by wildlife objectors to Quarry who hope to give councillors time to pause and reflect. Yeah. Environmental campaigners have welcomed an unexpected delay to controversial application of Thurrock Quarry. And they haven't come back yet. Yeah. So this is it, is it? That's the quarry. Nah. They always like to put a picture of a bumblebee up, don't they? 2019, all this flipping stuff is going up. Wow. Oh, I know that bit. Yeah, that's the bit over by Buckingham Hill Road, isn't it? That bit is. Yeah. So let's go back to... oh, yeah, the booster for the buses. Have you heard about this, guys? That's our buses. And we're getting... they're increasing the 100 route. Or the frequency of the buses. So you're going to get more buses in the evenings. So if we're getting more buses in the evenings, hopefully we can go down there and look at these planning meetings while we're there and make sure we get a bus back. Because last time they can't tell you when you're going to get a bus back or not. So, but now you can. 200 service to Tilbury will also be provided connections to new Asda and Lidl stores. Oh, it's not new, the Asda's, it's Lidl, isn't it? It's full service changes on their website. Oh, yeah, I'll tell you on here, yeah, 100, yeah. Let's put that on there. All right, remove that one. Stop screen, yeah. All right, share services. All right, and so it says on here, what's first bus. You see that, all right? Yeah. All right, first bus. 100, an improved evening service will be provided on all weekdays, all days, and of the week. Oh, great! So not and weekends. Retail, leisure, work. These enhanced are provided due to funding from Thurrock Council, and then 200 earlier and later journeys will be provided Monday to Saturday. So not Sunday. I thought they were going to do a Sunday one as well, but not. Improving journey operations. Leisure work service will run hourly on Monday to Saturday and every 90 minutes on Sunday. Oh, good. It is. Every 90 minutes on Sunday. So they are going to do it. Right. So these enhancements are provided due to funding from Thurrock Council. So they are going to do it. Good. That's better. Oh, looks like they're not going to come in. So I'll have to put a link in if anyone wants to pop up. All right. Let's put the link in if anyone wants to pop up. Replace pinned. Yeah. Okay. Right, it's on there now if anyone wants to pop up and have a chat. If anyone wants to pop in. Because they haven't. It looks like they're not coming back either. Huh. How long has it been since they went off? So it looks like they're not coming back. Oh. unless we end it. I don't know if I can get hold of Glenn. Oh. I don't know if if he'll see this message. That's a problem. Oh, is it Gypsy Dave on as well? Is he? If anyone wants ask any questions or anything, you can. Oh, yeah, Gypsy Dave's live from Luxembourg. Is he really? Is EA Audits around? I don't know if he's around. Has anyone seen EA Audits? Does he want to pop up? Oh, bloody hell. He went to McDonald's. Oh, God. Bloody hell, he went to McDonald's, did he? Oh. No, I can't find him there. Oh, God. It's like, oh, rain alarm. Righty ho, looks like they're not going to turn up. So, do you have to do a little bit of waffling, I'm afraid. Oh, LB, I know he's not live. No, he's not live. I thought we saw something on here about those fish and chips he's doing at McDonald's. But he's not. Oh, bloody hell. And now Nathan the Pratt Face is live as well. God. No, it's not on here. I can't see it now. You can all go off and watch him. Because it looks like they're not going to come back. Angler car shows. Yeah. Right, guys. They're not going to come back, so I'm going to... Oh, hang on. Oh, you just like Cycling Mickey's video? Oh, he's a funny one, though, isn't he? Well, there's no one here. Leave my rights alone, so I don't think it's worth me, because they're not coming back, are they? So I don't think it's worth carrying on, is it? You can go off and wind up Nathan if you want to, and I will see you all again, because it looks like they're not going to come back for their planning committee. So you take care, guys, and I'll see you all again in the stream.